It's after midnight, and it's time for conversations about love, family, friends, sex, and life. It's Love and Life with Carol Riddick and Donovan West, only on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
Well, hello there, family, and welcome to yet another episode of Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. That's WURDradio.com. Hey there. It's so good to be with you. Again, it's always good to be with you. You know, I tell you that all the time. As you can see, I am once again riding solo, as you can hear for those of you who do not hear my other half. But for those of you who are unaware, my co-host and partner in crime is on a short hiatus, but he will return to us here at Love and Life. And as usual, he sends all his love to you and yours. So on another note, I hope all is coming along well with you and for you and yours. I hope that, that you all are having a great start to the beginning of this year and that you're enjoying Black History Month. I really, really, really do hope that your journey to wellness is coming along great. I've been enjoying the check-ins that I've been receiving via email. Please, please, please keep them coming. Please, please. I also hope that your love day was a good one too. I hope you found some time to love up on you. Remember, I said that. That's always important. Every day you should love on you, but I hope you did something special for you on Love Day. So, I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to thank all of you for all of your emails. I was just talking about the emails that you sent, informing me of your wellness journeys, but just the ones that we've received to say hello. We appreciate each and every email that you send because, we love the love that you share. We always enjoy your emails and the love that you give to us. Remember that you too can email us if you like to do so. And you can do so by emailing loveandlife@wordradio.com. That's love and life at wordradio.com. I want to send a special thanks to WURD family member Pamela Gardner, who will be the recipient of the Love Day Sampler Pack giveaway. You remember I was telling you about those hot sauces. Ooh. Had to take a moment just to remember them. Thank you, Pamela, for listening and for participating. And thank you to all of our family members who participated and to those of you on our socials as well, because we were checking. So now, okay, now I've done all of that talking. Without further ado, I want you to meet today's guest. She's phenomenal. Okay, let's just start there. But she is an entrepreneur and former producer for Cox Media and 21st Century Fox. In the past decade, she launched 3 series in 3 separate states. Yeah, you heard that right. But desperate for a mental health break, she left her high-pressure position at the height of the pandemic to establish her own foundation. Thus, she is the founder of Gooshy Candy and the creator of the card game Touchy Feely, a game she created to help couples who struggle to express their sexual needs to one another in an open and transparent way. I cannot wait to have this conversation with her and for you to meet her. Family, I invite you to meet CANDACE Johnson. Hello, beautiful.
Thank you so much. Those words are so beautiful, Carol. I mean, the sound of your voice is so loving.
Oh.
Thank you so much. That is such a warm welcome.
No, thank you. We are so excited to have you here and to hear all about you, who you are, what you've been doing, what you're going to do. I told you I'm on 10 already, and our family members, they already know I'm always on 10. So just so excited.
Me too. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be with you, to be with your listeners. So interesting to hear the conversation after our talk today, because the one-on-one is great, but obviously the community opinion is always so important. So thank you.
Agreed. I told you, so prior to you coming onto the show, we were talking with our producer, Niall. Shout out to Niall Jacks. We were talking with Niall, and Niall said, I think that's a great idea. I think Candace would be awesome. And we were all so hyped. Yes, 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 yes. And then when we were talking about your history, I couldn't wait to just have you come on and tell our family members just about you and your life, period. Because I already told them you're phenomenal, but I want them to hear from you, to hear how phenomenal you are.
Oh, thank you. You know what? I'll give the elevator pitch. To myself, for people who don't know what an elevator pitch is, it's the 60-second rundown of who you are in case you ever want that job or you have that opportunity and you have to give it all right then and there. And trying to create an elevator pitch for my life, especially because I see my life in twofold. I see it as everything before 2020 and I see everything since. And so I always like to say the only thing that is the same before 2020 and now is that first and foremost, and it sounds so dramatic because it's so simple, but it's important to remember, I am a child of God. And it was really in my reawakening, my self-discovery after I left my job, which we'll discuss, that I realized that quite literally every single thing I do after that is ego. Breathing is ego, talking to ego, having a job is ego, smiling at the way you introduce me is ego, right? So I always say that's the first and foremost. Now, in terms of accomplishment, very, very blessed, but it all starts with having great parents. I'm from West Philly, born and raised. I was born in what we call the hood, but for me, it was just where we hung out. Like it's just where I lived. And even though I was raised technically poor, I did not know I was poor until I was 17, got into college, and asked my mom where my college fund was. Because in my household, you were going to college. So I thought since I had a bunch of white friends and they all had money, I must have money. Turns out I didn't. So that was pretty much the start of understanding the real world. And I hustled from there. When I was 9 years old, my dad brought home a camcorder. I'm a 80s baby, 90s kid. When I was 14, I went to creative and performing arts on Kappa, Kappa on Broad Street. When I was 14, I was validated that I had talent and that, a camera is what should be in front of my face at all times. I should always be looking at a lens. I mean, the blessings have been immense. Like, starting from 18, I was able to do projects at NYU. In Chicago is this really great film school. I was attached to there. It's called Columbia Chicago, and all these other projects. And in my mid-20s, I had a breakup. It was a 10-year relationship, and I was really devastated. It was 10 years straight, 18 to 27. He had been with me through, international internships, having to be across the world. And this is back before Skype. So it was actually a commitment to be with someone. And when I was 27 or 26, 27, we were breaking up. 27 at that time was old to not be married. 27 at that time was old to not be married.
Oh my goodness.
And I started a blog called Fearless in Philadelphia. It was, I wasn't reinventing the wheel. I was just bringing the wheel to Philadelphia. At that time, we're talking about maybe 2010, 2009. There were a lot of lifestyle blogs. Before Instagram and all that, even really before YouTube, there were blogs, but there were none in Philadelphia based in just lifestyle. So I started Fearless in Philadelphia. It went super, super well. And it was through that mixed with having a job as a server in a high-end restaurant in Old City. I was working at a restaurant called Fork. And one Wednesday night, and today's Wednesday, but in one Wednesday night came in two men. I had a conversation with them as I served them. I treated them the way I treat every customer of mine with truth and honesty and welcomeness. And I remember one saying, what do you think about the news? And I said, well, personally, I think it's racist. And I think that it's from a viewpoint that doesn't seem to fit more than 10% of the population. And to the credit of those two men, they were both Fox executives. They heard what I said. They brought me in for testing. And after quite an extensive interview process, they brought me on. So I always say to people, always be kind about the words that you share, because just because you hear something about a company doesn't make it true, but it doesn't make it false. It's just something you can't know unless you speak to someone who's been in it. And of course, over the last 15 years, my relationship, I think, is about 15 years along with Fox. And then Cox sort of bought out one portion of Fox, which is how I sort of branched over to them. There's good and bad everywhere. There are good and bad people on both sides of the aisle, as I like to say.
Absolutely.
But the point is that they did hire me knowing my intention. And I was able to keep a 10 plus year relationship with them that was, truly, it was about both of us sort of hearing each other. And at the end of the day, knowing that I'm not one to sacrifice community importance, and them sort of getting on board with that. Now, everything changed in 2020. You can imagine having a high power job like producing a television show. I was the executive producer of Good Day Philadelphia. I did it for 8 years here in the city. That takes its toll. I'm a lover of Philadelphia. I'm from here. I quite frankly, at this point, feel like I should run for mayor because I can't think of any other job I haven't had here. When I was 16, I used to do tours in Old City. I could tell you all of the history of Philadelphia. When in my early 20s, I worked in a strip club in Philly. I was a food server at Delilah's.
Wow.
And then in the last 10, I was here as an executive producer of a show. So I've had the gamut of love experiences here in Philly and have been blessed to live outside of Philly for a very long time also. And so in my reawakening in 2020, only talking about COVID, I realized how everything I thought I was doing to help my community was in fact not as helpful as I thought, right?
Oh, wow.
And we can discuss that a little bit more, but really it was in that I realized between COVID, the conversations we were all having with each other about COVID, and the silliness we were fighting about, like covering your mouth if you're coughing, helped me to realize that my position was not helpful. And I was no longer working at a source that people trusted. And so I decided to take a step back, reevaluate. I personally had a mental breakdown to a point of a suicide attempt, which I speak about as proudly as someone would discuss a baptism. Because to me, that's what mine was. Thank God it ended up being that and not something more severe. But I just got right with God. I realized, number one, I am not my job. And I am not the savior of you or me or this city or the world. And, as Black women, child, we think we can do it. That last one might have been weak, but I can do it.
Listen.
Yeah,
it's a constant struggle. No, seriously.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right about that. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I say it every day. I'm always trying to save somebody.
I quit my job. I got home and God said, cry. And I cried for 4 months. Was in therapy 4 days a week, had to get all of the trauma that I was digesting every day because of my job out of my body, out of my system, out of my spirit. Forgive, mankind for what they've done to me, for not being able to talk to each other, for not being able to talk to me, for not trusting me with the information I'm giving, right? All that. But then I realized it's all ego. It is only my job to be a good human being and to be good to God. And since I started doing that with no respect to anything else, everything else has come to be. And one beautiful day, God just decided to give me pleasure. I think a year of pain was really as much as he realized my little body could handle. And within a few months of recognizing pleasure again, I felt invigorated. I felt happy. I felt joy and fell in love. And one night after, and this is going to sound dramatic, but after 17 hours of lovemaking, like really, truly beautiful. And not all of it was intercourse, but, just really hours and hours of feeling piled on. My lover went to work. And when I tell you 8 hours later, this was invented. It's the game. Wait. It was done.
Wait a minute.
It was done. 8 hours.
Okay, that's an incredible lover. I will say that. That is one incredible lovemaking session, and that is an incredible lover.
it was the love of God, because I'll tell you that this game was inspired from the energy that he and I had. But that man was meant to be given to me so that I could be given this game. Because a few months later, I found out he was cheating on me the entire relationship.
Oh,
it's okay.
Candace,
it's totally fine. Listen, God brings people in and then they bring them out.
Well,
frankly, I'd rather have this game and be single so I can be able to work more.
A season, a reason, or a lifetime. I always say it. So there you have it.
That's it. But I mean, I guess that was a little bit longer than an elevator pitch, but I wanted to be able to give you guys really the full gamut of it. Is a lot of my energy and a lot of my answers stem from a place of this game is for the people. And the game can be the celebrity. But I'm just here to facilitate and share my experience of both creating the game, being blessed to share the game, and to know that I love that you say it's, it's for couples, it's for everyone, but I quite literally designed it in mind so that, the couple experience is a beautiful one, but I know people in thruples. I had a man play and, really honestly, no judgment. I really don't have judgment, but a man bought a game because he wants to try to commune his girlfriend and his wife.
Oh, okay.
I actually think that's a really beautiful thing if that's really something that he thinks he can do. And I do think that this is both a beautiful game, but it's also a tool to really communicate what you want in a space that's pleasurable, purpose-driven, positive, and hopefully puts you in a space of knowing that you can speak freely and hopefully to be able to confirm that you're heard.
That's so important. We both said the same thing at the same time. It is so important. And I always say that as human beings, as adults, we don't communicate effectively, that we as adults, we don't adult properly. We don't really know, I always say it. So for our family members who are listening, this is something that I say, that I believe myself alone, that we don't always, we don't communicate effectively and we don't adult properly. And so I'm happy to hear that you are creating, there are those of you who are creating tools to help, because I do believe that everybody needs some help at some point in time. Family members, if you just joined us, you're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. That's WURDradio.com. And we are talking with none other than CANDACE Johnson, who just shared, so many pearls, so much information that I don't know where to begin with the questions, but the most important of which is to talk about this game that we all want to know about right now. I'll tell you that. We are all interested in knowing about the game. So first, would you repeat for us the name of the game first so that our family members are familiar?
Absolutely. So it's called Touchy Feely Intimacy Card Game.
Intimacy card. And family, she said this is not just for couples. She said the game is for any of us who want to explore intimacy, sexuality. Would that be correct? Would that be a correct way?
Well, you know what? Originally it started again, I'm a single person. And though I've been blessed to have very long-term relationships. I also know what it's like to be able to carry the weight of an entire household on my own. And both are, quite frankly, blessings. At the end of the day, I've found love with a partner, but I'm also perfectly happy in a clean house that's quiet.
Hello.
But because I can oscillate in so many of those worlds and find pleasure in all of them, I think it was important to create a game that, one, spoke to the society that we lived in, right? And most people I know are in couples, but only publicly.
Okay.
And that's really all I have to say about that. Because I don't be getting people business out.
Listen, I understand not wanting to share someone's business, but that's an interesting statement, especially given the world in which we live now. Everything is so public, and on social media, you could have a whole nother life.
Yeah,
it's interesting that you would say that.
And what's interesting is, again, I've never been a celebrity, but being a television producer, being in film previously, I know what the public eye can do to one's self-esteem. So deciding that you're not going to share what's happening in your bedroom doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you private.
How about that?
And so I actually, listen, it's always salacious to talk about, someone's married, but they have a girlfriend. But the reality is that it's not uncommon. And in fact, it's not even non-traditional. It's quite traditional, especially depending on the culture that you come from. And since I'm a person who truly believes that your highest point of pleasure is acceptance and understanding, then I would rather create a safe space that doesn't exclude anybody. Because then, quite frankly, right, no matter what I say, I can't be excluded because no one else is.
That's a good point. Candace, I'm going to stop you there because I want you to continue. But after we take this short commercial break, family, stay with us because we'll be right back. Okay.
I remember this one moment. I ran to kind of the water edge, and my mom said something along the lines of like, now it's your turn. Take that first step. When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. There's some light within her that makes me continue to do the climate science work that I do. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. As moms, we care about our children and the environment they grow up in. And for Mia, I want you to know that I worked really hard to be a part of the change and to make it a better place for you.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night too. Did you have a clue?
No, but teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
A lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
We're often influenced by what we see or hear on social media. Beware of disinformation campaigns targeting Black communities by using cultural issues to incite divisions, spread false information, and negatively influence public opinions. We're in this together, and together we can stay informed and empowered. Learn more at nbcit.org. This public service announcement is from the National Black Cultural Information Trust.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. I'll be there all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side. By your side. And every day is a different day. Everything is in everything. Even when you think things can never ever be the same. Don't be scared of the world, I'll be here to stay. By your side. Even when your heart ain't listening, or your mind takes you a different way, towards a different path. All you gotta do is sit and ask. When you need me, I'll be by your side.
When the adults in a child's life talk early and often about the dangers of underage drinking, the message gets stronger every time.
I'll be by your side.
Talk. They hear you.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
Welcome back, family. You are tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. That's WURDradio.com. I am one half of your trusty duo. I'm Carol Riddick, and I am joined with none other than CANDACE Johnson, who has been talking with us about life and love and everything in between. Before we went to the break, I was asking Candace about the card game that she created, and she was sharing just a few tidbits. And I said, "Oh, Candace, I want you to stop right there, because when we come back, I want you to fill us in some more and continue." So you were talking about, now, the one thing you did say, there was a event. Well, you've said a lot interest, but the one thing you said that kind of like, oh my goodness, it sparked me. You said there was a gentleman that was interested in joining his wife and his girlfriend. And I know, when we talk about, first of all, we're in 2023, and life is so different than what it once was. And I know you made a statement about pre-2020, and now it seems like after 2020, life changed so much, which it did. But the one thing for which I am eternally grateful is that we are having conversations now that were either once taboo or were swept under the rug, or, all kinds of things. Everything was shaded and put away. But now we can sit and talk about everything, which I appreciate, because communication is so essential.
It's so all essential. Of it.
Yes. So you tell me, I would like to know, now, when you talk about your game, I have about 10 questions that I want to ask all at once, which is horrible. Okay, which is horrible. But the first thing I want to know, because you talked about a 17-hour lovemaking session. You said from this event, I'm going to call it an event, the game was birthed. Yeah. And I love that. But what was so pivotal about the event or that experience?
Love is such a beautiful thing. And right, like our whole lives, there's always some type of love we're chasing after. I'm blessed. I had parents who loved me dearly, so I never had to chase after guardianship love or anything like that. I was blessed to have teachers that coveted me, so I never have to worry about that. And I was really blessed being a little hood girl that it was not, I mean, I guess I was around 12 when my first girlfriend got pregnant. Just one of the neighborhood girls. And I saw how that was not it for me. It wasn't it. So I was able, really, from her experience watching her. I mean, it is really like something watching a preteen be pregnant. I just realized that love from a man I can get, but it's always going to have to be me loving myself more to stay ahead. And so I've always been able to identify with that. I think that's why I'm 38 with no children, is because the thing that I look for is more stability over love, because the love part I find comes from God. What I know for me is that when I enter a relationship with a man, I date men, is that I'm only in it because God put me here. I don't ever need to be anybody's girlfriend. I have tried being called, two people's fiancés, and that obviously didn't work out. And as I've learned I learned this New Year's Eve, 2019 going to 2020. I had the best New Year's Eve anyone could possibly have, 2019 going into 2020. And I mean, January 1st, 2020, I got bit in the face by a dog. a couple of weeks later, Kobe Bryant was dead. And a couple of weeks after that, COVID was present. And a few months after that, I had made an attempt on my life. So what I know is that no matter what we plan for, God is going to do what he wants to do. So at least I know that I am present in this relationship because there's love. And if God is love, it means God is here. So I'm here. But I can wrap all this up and go.
I love that. Oh,
I think but it's in that very early understanding that it ain't for me. It is not it to just be leaned on someone and just assume that there's security. I've always sort of looked at my relationships purely from a love and how are you loving me now? And when is the loving gone? Versus the, obviously people who have children, mortgages, businesses, when you have true entanglement, true intertwining, then obviously you're betting up a way different wager when it comes to the disruption that you're causing. But I'm blessed to be able to live in a romantic fantasy because there are no children. I own my own business. I make my own money. And I support everything that you see about me is the love that I give to myself. And every ounce of romantic love is what God and I have conjured. And then some man just is the physical manifestation of that for however long he's around.
I love it.
So I can love him. And it's true because otherwise, I'll tell you, my ex-boyfriend, I wouldn't have been able to move forward with such a betrayal. And he's not a bad guy. We got together very quickly. He had not tied up his other dealings as I thought he had, and he had said he had. And I think he got overwhelmed. I really think at the end of the day, that's really what it was, right? And I got this game. So the 17 hours was knowing that God was shining on me, a Black man, because for me, I do specifically, especially love Black men, though I'm open to dating anyone. But to have this very tender, very loving Black man ask me so many questions of interest to who I am at my core, to have somebody be so concerned about me, to want to covet me, and also, Carol, as I'm sure you will appreciate because you have a husband, also someone who desired me deeply. Like he wanted to eat my cake and have it too. It was everything I wanted.
Wait, let me clarify because I am divorced. I did have a husband, but
sorry.
No.
Sorry. Well, listen, as a divorced woman or a woman who just knows when you know love, you want that kind of companionship of I want you to covet me and I low-key want you to rip me apart and defile me.
You
know?
Hello. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and then somewhere in that you get consent. I just don't know where you But it was this is crazy, but this is only an American experience, right? We were at Penn's Landing. We were having an outdoor date. He brought candles and hookah and like all these really beautiful things, music. This is no joke because you can Google it. White nationalists came through Penn's Landing, and so we had to leave in the middle of our date.
No.
It was, if you Google back, it would have been 2021. It was when the white nationalists, they walked down Market Street apparently, but we didn't know about it. I wasn't on my phone. And they had walked apparently from City Hall down Market Street to Penn's Landing. And then they were literally beating up everybody they could find at Penn's Landing. And so this bloody white woman, this is no lie, bloody white woman ran to me and was like, to both of y'all gotta get out of here. They're coming. They're going to kill you. It was wild. Packed up all of our stuff, ran to the car. This was the same time that Tabitha Brown, is that yes, she had just read Wendy for Filth about her husband. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh my goodness. Of course I do.
Remember that?
Of course.
I had a 2-hour conversation about that. To be able to read somebody from a place of God as Tabitha did.
It was beautiful. It really was. It was beautiful. It really was. But I don't know how I missed.
That's how he and I connected. It was that conversation of being able to say, right? Because I find as women, I love us, but we're one of two things. We're either a Wendy Williams where we don't really believe in love. We just believe in the aspects that secure us because of love. Or we're more like a Tabitha, I feel, who you really can lean on it because God is building the structure of the love. So that is where you lean.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of us that have just been hurt and are living in that hurt.
Yes.
And that, living in that pain. Yeah.
Yes.
And not dealing with it to move past it. Yeah. I think,
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I think about Wendy Williams. I always just think like, it's funny or whatever, but it really does seem like it comes from a place of her experiences have led her one way and Tabitha's experiences have led her another. But I lean more into the trust thy husband, trust thyself, trust God. And obviously Wendy Williams has just had a different set of experiences, very public experiences. Which I totally understand. But it was that conversation that really connected us. I understood where he was with God. I understood where love has to be in his relationship. And then we came back here and we talked longer. He talked about how he would have protected me if those guys had gotten to us. And then it was like hours of talking and touching. And then he finally kissed me. And then we had, then we made love. And then that was like, as long as it is for two middle-aged people.
Did you say middle? You know what?
As long as it is for middle-aged people, that's how long we did it.
No, you didn't. Did she say middle-aged? Girl. Family, listen, you hear me. I'm all caught up. If you have just joined us, you are tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. That's WURDradio.com. And we are talking to Candace Johnson, her middle-aged self. Do you hear this? We are talking to Candace Johnson, and she is sharing with us about life, about love, about everything in between, about her journey. OMG. You just missed so much if you're just joining us. But she was telling us a moment ago about her card game, Touchy Feely, and I don't want to be remiss. I don't want to forget to ask you to tell us about Gooshy Candy. Now,
absolutely. I'll give you a quick rundown. Gooshy Candy really came from ego. The reality is that I wanted something playful. The name came from a place of ego. The concept is the same concept I had when I worked in media, in news. It's a communications program, my company, Gooshy Candy, but the name comes from ego. My name is Candace, so I called it Candy. And gushy is just a double entendre. It both comes from a sensitive place, right? A warm feeling place when you're feeling very sentimental. But it can also be quite nasty if you think about the other kind of gushy. And that's where I feel like true pleasure really does lie. It lies in both the physical and the emotional, creating the synergy. We call it sensuality. And I just don't know who died of an overdose of pleasure. Wellness pleasure, which is why I call my company a pleasure wellness company. Yes.
And if I love the name, let me tell you.
Thank you so much. So that's pretty much the thought process of the company, is that I'm going to create games. I'm going to call it adult play. I want people to just have a good time. I think the problem with news and sharing information and advice and offering experiences is that other people always think that they're allowed to have an opinion about what you feel or what you've experienced.
Oh my Lord. And that you must agree with it. And that you must agree with their opinion. That right. I will never, ever, never understand that. But that's a whole nother show, because we could talk about that. A whole nother, yes. But
I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah, well,
my mother.
I guess we all are at some point in time. I was going to say, but I guess we all are at some point in time. It's just some of us are just a lot more aggressive with it.
Well, that's what it is that I think it's when judgment comes into play, and the fact that we all forget that none of us are that old. I don't care if you're 80. None of us are that old. We don't really know.
Oh my goodness.
So
no.
Yeah. So
well, you know what? That was a good point that you made. That was a great point. You know what, family, you hear us. You hear Candy and I'm going to call her Candy because I've just adopted Candy. This is my sister right now. So from here on out, okay, Candy and we're sitting here talking about her life, talking about the journey thus far, talking about how she got to where she is now. And once again, if you've just joined us, you've missed so much. Okay, so you're gonna have to watch the episode and all that good stuff. But I know some of you are listening and you're saying, well, how do I play the game? How do I play the game Touchy Feely? But guess what? You're going to find out, because I'm asking Candace right now how we play the game, but she's going to tell us when we come back from this next commercial break. So stay with us because we will be right back.
I'll never forget the day I nearly died. I was a young journalist with a great career, starting a family. The only way we found out I had any kind of heart issue was when I went into sudden death. My coworkers sprung into action. They've recently been trained in life-saving CPR protocols developed by the American Heart Association. They're the ones that kept me alive until the medics came. They did many tests on me in the hospital after my cardiac arrest and created a treatment plan, all with research from the American Heart Association. I think unless you are a heart disease patient, you may not know how much work the American Heart Association does behind the scenes to save your life. Since my cardiac arrest, I've had 2 more children. I've watched all 3 of my children grow into adulthood. I'm going to cry now. I graduate from college. My daughter got married. I have grandchildren. And I'm still here.
Learn more about the American Heart Association's work at helpheart.org.
Imagine you on a deserted island all by yourself, or even being in a crowd of people yet still feeling alone. That's what being a victim of sexual assault can feel like. Victims of sexual assault are at an increased risk for developing depression, PTSD, substance abuse, eating disorders, and anxiety. Sexual assault can happen to anyone, and is any unwanted sexual contact such as unwanted touching, fondling, groping, or even rape. No always means no, so speak up and speak out. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Everyone loves a champion. Someone whose performance puts them head and shoulders above the rest. But not all champions wear a medal or hoist a trophy. At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, we see champions everywhere we look. In every sport, on every court, we're building a foundation to ensure all athletes are safe, supported, and strengthened. We believe abuse can be prevented by taking a hard look at how we coach, how we train, and how we interact after the last whistle. We have provided over 2 million safe sport trainings. At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, ending abuse is not just our job. It's our promise.
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is him. Every day he's hungry for something. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then it kind of starts to work itself out.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tanya Hopkins, aka The Food Griot, the host of Savory and Sweet, a new show about food, history, and culture. Savory and Sweet is a flavorful exploration of food marinated in the Black experience, seared with history and braised culture. Each week, I'll fold in conversations that center food and drink at the intersection of business, health and well-being, entertainment, education, and innovation, while separating the facts from fiction on the sometimes surprising origins of what we eat and drink. So join me, the Food Griot, and special guests for Savory and Sweet, Food, History, and Culture every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. exclusively on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Independent Black Media.
Hey there, family. Welcome back. You are tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. That's WURDradio.com. We are talking with none other than CANDACE Johnson. If you've just tuned in, let me tell you something. We've been talking about a lot, okay? But what you did not miss is the conversation we're about to have. Before the break, I asked Candace to tell us how we played the game that she created. I want to know all about Touchy Feely. And guess what? I know you do too. So, Candace, without further ado, would you please explain to us how we play the game and where we might be able to obtain it?
Absolutely. I'm going to go through the instructions really quickly. And then, Carol, actually, I invite you to play with me because I wanted to show that while the game was intended for, and this is what it says for your viewers who are actually watching, the game says on the box, it's for friends, it's for lovers, and it's for partnership. But I found on this journey that it really works for business conferences. You know, listen, there's nothing like knowing the business of your coworker because then you actually have grace. You actually learn something about, oh, that's why they deadlines, you know, like that. Oh, she has 4 kids and no daycare. That's why she's late. It just allows you to humanize people. So if you take out the sexual component, it actually just still works as a great conversation starter.
That's awesome.
But with that being said, when you remove the box, you'll see when you open it, you have 4 little levels here. The levels are really important. I tell people all the time, do not base the level that you choose on the longevity or the label of your relationship, meaning I'm a husband, I'm a wife, we've been together 10 years. Base it upon your sexual chemistry and the confidence you have emotionally communicating with the other people that you're playing with, because you can play with as many people as you like.
Okay.
Level 1 is for the like you phase, dating phase, or I don't know you phase. Level 2 is the love you phase. Level 3 is in love. And level 4 is true partnership, meaning if we broke up, there'd be something that would be really irreparably damaged. Businesses, children, mortgages, etc. Alongside the 4 levels in the box, there is what we like to call the emotional equation conversion card.
Okay.
What it does is it translates all of your answers into a sexual action.
Oh.
So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a level 1 card, which is right here. Super beautiful design.
It is.
And you'll see the card here for those of you who can watch. And I'm going to ask you this question, Carol. The question says, name a scent or smell that brings you happiness.
Clean linen. I love that clean, fresh smell. Clean linen.
So the goal of the game is to answer intimately. You want to answer with as much information as you can possibly give because we're on a date right now, right? Or we're girlfriends hanging out on a date. I really want to understand why clean linen. You know, is it a childhood smell? Is it, you know, where does it stem from? Where does it? Yeah.
I love fresh, clean smells. I love like light scents. It makes me feel happy. It makes me feel it gives me the feeling that my surroundings are clean. I love cleanliness. So I'm particular in that way, that I love clean and cleanliness. I love things that are clean and cleanliness. So that scent of clean linen, it's psychological, I know, but it gives me the feeling that my surrounding and my environment is clean.
Absolutely. No, and I love it. So you just answered the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would then rate your answer on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 meaning you barely answered. I don't know what you're talking about. 5 meaning you wouldn't stop talking. We all get it, you know? And the goal really always is to get a 5, right? But it can't necessarily be the focus. The goal is to communicate as efficiently as you can, twofold, because we know that we can communicate as well as we want to and still have a partner who can't hear us. So that sort of comes out, right? But it also allows our partner an opportunity to say, no, I heard you a long time ago. You just keep talking. It really allows for us to see and then where the hurdles are. Okay, you said clean linen, but I mean, the house is always clean. So what's special about that? You know, it allows for a conversation. So I'm going to say 4 because I thought your answer was really insightful. And given that we're just starting the game, I just feel like you came from a really loving space. 4 then converts to a sexual action.
Oh.
And so for that would be kiss, right? So then we would go back to our card that we answered the question from. And if you see at the bottom, I know it's kind of small, but if you see at the bottom, there are 4 erogenous zones at play. So then we would decide together which of these erogenous zones you would touch on me. Because the goal is to not only give me something of yourself emotionally, right? Answer a question for me that helps me to really get to know you better. Then the point is to follow it up with a sexual touch, right? That brings me physical pleasure also. So you're saying something good to me, and then you're touching me good. So and of course the levels change in terms of tone of question and set of body parts. Level 1 is very public erogenous zones. We're talking about the forehead, the hands, the feet, the cheek, very, very simple, very easy. Whereas when we get to level 4, the questions are emotionally more intertwined. But the erogenous zones are a lot more sexualized. The inner thigh, the breast, the butt, all the special places that we love, the belly, those types of things. And then in the middle are what I like to call the underachieving because underutilized erogenous zones. I can take down a grown man by touching his knee or his neck. I'm done.
Okay. So right. I can listen. I'm going to tell you what I can do. I love it. So what I'm going to have to do is get a love interest. Find a man in whom
I'm sending you a game.
An interest. Yeah, I'm okay because I'm ready to play it. So let's send you a game, man.
But it's I love it as a game. Again, it's all for me about adult play, having a good time. I find that ego does not live in play, right? We can get on the swing, we can play this game. It's all good. It's all good. But also I have found, thank goodness, in market research that it also helps with body confidence issues. If you really struggle with, I had a man share with me that he was really thankful for the game because he doesn't like how he isn't able to touch his partner's stomach. A lot of women struggle with section being a very insecure point with them, especially after childbirth or heavy weight gain, as we all discovered in 2020. I know I gained 40 pounds in the pandemic.
That's an ongoing conversation.
but he was able to have the conversation with her about why it's so important for him to be able to caress her stomach. And how and why it is that she's really blocking their intimacy with an insecurity that only exists in her mind, though our whole world's our minds. So it's really about, can you readjust that what you find to be an insecurity is actually quite literally sexy to your partner?
You just said a whole mouthful right there. Candace, okay, first of all, let me just say thank you for joining us, because this is the part of the show that I hate when I have to wrap it up. But family, I say this every single episode. I cannot stand that this is the part of the show that we've now approached. But as we wrap up tonight's episode, I want to extend on behalf of myself and Donovan our gratitude as you continue to support Love and Life. And special thanks to you, Candace, you've just been such a joy. We're inviting you to come back.
Anytime.
Yes. Please come back, because our conversation just went by so quickly. But in any event, we love you and we would love to have you back. Family, we thank you for sharing your time, your energy, your attention with us. Thank you to Niall Jacks, Tiffany Bacon, Donovan West, Jamira Perry, and the remainder of the WURD family. So family, I say this to you all the time. We're in this together. So be good to you, but be good to those around you, okay? Have a great night, a great morning, and a great rest of your day. And remember, join us. Well, I shouldn't say remember. Just be sure to join us Sunday through Thursday at midnight for another episode of Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. See you next time, y'all.
Stand with WURD Radio, Pennsylvania's only Black-owned talk radio station. Join the movement to keep the conversations going and amplify the voice of the Black community. Show your support. Start or renew your WURD membership today at WURDradio.com or call 215-425-7875.
A lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, It's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. And I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? Now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player for the Indianapolis Colts. Becoming a running back was no easy task for me, but it's nothing compared to what my amazing mom faces every day. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14 years old, yet she's always there for me, every step of the way, despite her own battles. And the Muscular Dystrophy Association is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Their research is helping find cures and save lives. Watching my mom go through her daily struggles and the care she receives from MDA has made me determined to help find a cure for neuromuscular disease. That is why I support MDA, and that's why I'm so grateful to others who do too. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today.
I remember this one moment. I ran to kind of the water edge, and my mom said something along the lines of like, now it's your turn. Take that first step. When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. There's some light within her that makes me continue to do the climate science work that I do. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. As moms, we care about our children and the environment they grow up in. And for Mia, I want you to know that I worked really hard to be a part of the change and to make it a better place for you.
Imagine you on a deserted island all by yourself, or even being in a crowd of people yet still feeling alone. That's what being a victim of sexual assault can feel like. Victims of sexual assault are at an increased risk for developing depression, PTSD, substance abuse, eating disorders, and anxiety. Sexual assault can happen to anyone and is any unwanted sexual contact such as unwanted touching, fondling, groping, or even rape. No always means no, so speak up and speak out. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Philadelphia. Black